This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.
Craig Bromell, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Good, man. Here in the 3SixtySecure's studios. We work together. I'm a client of yours, a big believer in your company. I can't give financial advice, obviously, but I love everything about what you're doing. Any company updates?
Yeah, we're very much involved in the new process with government of Ontario is looking at new distribution rules. We're getting ready for that. Putting ourselves in a position where they're pretty much going to have the licensed producers deliver right to the storefronts. Cost savings, I believe, is the reason more than anything. And we're very excited about it.
Good to hear. Always forward progress there with Thomas, your CEO, and the rest of the team there, including David and yourself, David Hyde. This, was interesting, and we had talked about this a little bit. A lot of our conversations go back to the government and the elections and stuff. There was very little cannabis talk. Trudeau, though, obviously pulled it out in a minority government. Will anything change? Has there been any regulatory changes within the cannabis space with this now? Same government, but minority role.
No, it was very disappointing. There wasn't enough discussion, but I think the federal elections feel they can get a pass on it because mainly it's the provinces that are handling it now. So it is very disappointing on how it's gone so far for just about everybody involved in the whole process. And I think that, that we have a minority government. I think we're going to be stuck with a minority government for a long time because, I don't think there's going to be an election, a new election soon because all the parties, nobody has any money left. So they couldn't even run one if they wanted to because the parties just don't have the budget to run another election. So I think that's going to be the main reason. But we're going to be stuck with a minority, I think, for the 4 years. So on the cannabis side, I think time will tell on improving service all around. And, the investors are kind of turning their backs to it right now. I'm hoping that changes because there's just not enough product out there right now. There's not enough storefronts. And I think the provinces have to take control of this and make it better so that the product can be properly available legally.
Without a doubt, and more product because we all know that the demand is there, and let's get the legal supply available to people, and we stand on that together. Craig, you're a proud conservative. I think you've made no bones about that in your past and here on the show. Were you upset with with Scheer and a bit of the campaign, and we didn't really know what they stood for? Or is he the appropriate leader in your opinion?
I think I realized, Todd, about a month ago that I thought there was going to be a minority conservative government, which wouldn't have lasted 2 weeks because I think that the Liberals and the NDP would have tried to form up. I didn't think anybody was going to have a majority. I thought all along it was a minority. I thought the Conservatives had a chance. And it's to me, being a conservative, no, I'm not happy with it, but I'm not surprised. I think that the Conservatives, if you look at the map with the party, it's amazing that pretty much the Liberals have nothing, west of Kenora, Ontario.
Yeah.
So the country is definitely split, more split than ever before, more split than the day before the election, and I think we're all going to pay for it in due time. What's going to get done, I'm not sure. The NDP have a lot of control right now, because it puts the Liberals over a majority. So I think we have to hold on, be prepared for it. And I don't know how Trudeau's going to handle the West. There's two large provinces, Saskatchewan and Alberta. He has nobody there. So there's going to be nobody in cabinet representing those provinces. So it's a bit of a mess. I think we're in a worse mess than we were the day before the election. And that's not so much saying it's a conservative government or not. I just think having the way it's set up right now and looking at the map and the split down the middle of the country is very, very depressing, really.
Yeah, listen, and I thought so too. I also found it very interesting that, when you go by the numbers now, you look that really the popular vote was to the Conservatives. And I sort of found it ironic that there were no liberal-leaning people all of a sudden like crying for electoral reform or, the way Trump had won. Every single one of them were basically blasting on Twitter, wherever it might have been. He didn't really win. He didn't have the highest percentage of votes. Hillary did. Yet they were awfully quiet come election morning. Did that surprise you?
No, I think it goes even further back than that. I think if you remember Bush Gore, I think Gore had the most popular also. So I believe ever since then, no matter what side of the aisle you're on when it comes to politics, it's never going to be an excuse anymore because of what happened there. And now it's happened on the opposite side, I guess, whatever way you're looking at it. And it's the system. I mean, and the other thing the winning party, I think, got less than 35% of the popular vote. It's not just like 50 plus 1 or 50 minus 1. It's like less than 35%. That's not good. I mean, that means that you're always going to be pissing off 65% of the people. So I don't know how anything's going to get done. I think I'm more worried about the economy. I'm more worried about, obviously, spending now. I think we should all. And I think we're going to be in a worse situation when it comes to debt 4 or 5 years from now.
Craig Bromell is joining us from 360 Secure, 3SixtySecure.com, and keeping everything safe, really, which is amazing, from executive protection to protection of the cannabis transports and all the different shops and things, expanding also outside into the United States. And how is business now in the States? Are we seeing some new expansion plans or new talk about that being federally legal over there in the cannabis space?
Yeah, we do. We have some exciting projects on the go, some great leads. As you know, the Americans are pretty slow at the mark here. Really, Canada's caught up a lot. If you take away Colorado and some of those states, the federal government in the states has to bring in the legalization of it because it affects a big part of the business. You got to work around the fact that the banks can't get involved, so it's a cash business, and so it's different. As much as I'm complaining about the situation in Canada, we have a better system in the States right now, I believe, which shows how bad it is down there. So I think that over the next year leading up to the American federal election, I'm hoping that there's some news down there where they have legalized it properly, and that will definitely help 360 out.
What are, in general, I guess, this is sort of more of a blanket statement, I guess, you being a former police officer and the head of the Toronto Police Association, still very connected to the men and women who proudly, really help protect our freedoms and rights and things. What's like an overall sort of, what do the police think about how the cannabis rollout's going on? Like, how, I don't really know what I'm asking because there's so many different levels of police, but, what's an overall kind of view right now?
On the morale? Sorry, I missed the question.
Yeah, I don't really know the question, Craig. It's a terrible question. I'm having trouble, getting this question out. I mean, do they think that this are they pleased on one side that it's legal just for people? Are the police over in the States shocked that it's not legal? Do they want to be fighting this war on drugs still? All that kind of stuff. They
just want to know what they're supposed to do on the law enforcement side.
Well said.
They're getting mixed messages. They just want to say, what are the rules? What are the laws? We'll enforce it, which is their job, and we'll end up going forward. I think that that's all they want, and that's all any police officer wants when he or she are doing their jobs, is to make sure that the rules are in place, and they'll get backing if they go right by the book on the rules, and that's not happening right now with the cannabis world. There's a lot of confusion out there. I don't think they really care what's legal and what's not. They just want to do their job. But it's really it's confusing for them. And even the prosecutors everybody's up in the air about what's the next move and what should they do. Should they do search warrants? So should they look at arresting people? And it's very confusing, which is causing issues with us also, or the licensed producers. And the 80% of the industry is black market. And I think a lot of coppers would like to go out and assist in helping get rid of the black market on that. But the confusion is they're not too sure how far they can go. What are the laws? And even the breathalyzer side of this is confusing. Where, if you are driving while you have done any type of cannabis, that's even confusing. There aren't that many police officers trained in knowing if somebody is impaired through cannabis while they're in the operation of a motor vehicle. So it's all we need a more standard approach to this for enforcement. 360 definitely wants that. We want to take the lead on that. But again, we're not getting any assistance from the decision makers, which are the politicians.
Can anyone sort of be an advocate for this? Is it tough to push the government into understanding these actual problems that are existing?
I don't think. No, I think that we are definitely we're taking a lead on it. 360. There's no appetite for it right now, Todd. There's no enforcement. Again, 80% of any other industry was black market. We'd be reading about changes and laws coming in. Why it's not happening here? There could be some political correctness involved. They're concerned about making changes, and so it's on our side of it. It's very frustrating. On our partners, licensed producers, distributors, they're very frustrated also.
Craig Bromell is with us from 360 Secure. Would you be in favor of decriminalizing all drugs?
No. I think cannabis is where I draw the line. And again, it started with me. It started on a personal note with a family member that was suffering from cancer, and they used the medicinal side of it, and they improved the last 2 or 3 weeks of their lives. And I changed from that point forward, and then I got much more involved.
And you listen, that's we hear a lot of these sort of personal stories for sure. But I guess I sort of think of it from a policing point of view. I don't know. I could never be a cop. I wouldn't be qualified enough. I don't have the testicular fortitude. But just knowing that there maybe are some people that you would be busting based on addiction issues and things like this when they're prescribed medicines that you can have just as serious, if not more serious, addiction issues. I would have too much empathy in there, going, okay, I'd rather just get this guy help or this lady help and educate them more. But like you said, they do their job. They just want to know what their job is.
They do. They want to know what the rules are. They'll enforce the rules, but you got to tell them what they are and stick to it. Don't change the rules halfway through a procedure.
Oh, man, what else to talk about? The trees are really beautiful right now. The colors of the leaves, Craig. Do you get to when you used to do a ton of radio? Did you sort of get sick of talking about the day to day? Like just the status quo.
You know what? I think we do. We are in. When it comes to the media, radio, everything else, we're in the negative news business. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it sells, right? Let's just be honest about this. It sells, and that's the business we're in. And pick up a newspaper, and the bad stories are on page one. The good stories are buried in the paper. And I think, whether it's radio or TV, it's all the same. And that's, but I would like to see more positive stories out there on a regular. I think we all would. I think things are gone so bad. You try to watch any TV right now, and it's negative. The politics, not just in the States with Trump, but even here. So I think we have to generate more positive stories to talk about overall through the different media outlets.
There should almost be a mandate, like a regulatory mandate from the CRTC to say, if you're doing leading with X story, you got to sort of balance it out with this type of story. I actually really believe that. I think it's something we've touched on in the past. But you're right. I mean, at some point, everything just sounds like fear-mongering. We have way too much access to too much information. It's not to say that I don't have empathy for someone who maybe, got shot in Germany, but I don't need that to be a Twitter moment because I'm just right here in Toronto. I just want to deal with my own stuff at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we got to talk more. There's people, scientists, coming up with new things that are going to save lives and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, maybe we got to start finding that and talk about it more often and some good news stories. I mean, I'm all in favor of that.
Well, listen, man, this is a good news chat is the way I like to put it, because it's real and it's candid, and that's what we always get with Craig Bromell. I always appreciate your time and look forward to these moments. From 360 Secure, make sure you go and check out that company, 360secure.com, doing everything right. And by the way, the Cop Father is still selling, the Craig Bromell story. Go pick up a copy and, have a good weekend read.
Thanks, Todd. Appreciate it, brother.
Okay, see you, brother. Thank you so much for your time.
This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.